Episode 6. That's what we're on. So I watched episode 11 and 12 last night of Avatar The Last Airbender, and they were good. They were really good. Episode 11, they had to get across the canyon. We met two interesting tribes. We got the one proper tribe, and then we got the one kind of rugged tribe. And I sympathize with the rugged one. I like the bush bitches better. Ain't afraid to get dirty. You know, I like that. I like that tribe better. But you see, Aang kind of play the middleman, and he's trying to get them to get along, but for some reason they just don't get along at all, and Aang kind of gets frustrated, and that kind of reminds me of this one time in elementary school for 1 year, 8th grade. I was nominated as a peer mediator. Basically, what the peer mediator did was just mediate problems between students that the principal was too busy to handle. So we got the real bullshit cases, nothing too exciting. And we had to go through like a couple days. We had to skip, I think it was lunch for like a week. We had to skip lunch for a week and go to this bullshit training on how to mediate arguments. They talk about, oh, you got to create a win-win situation. You can't take a side. You got to make sure that it's resolved without violence. And I mean, it was decent information that we learned, but come on, I would rather be at lunch, man. And I only got one case. I forgot what the case was about, unfortunately. It was probably some boring thing like, oh, Tiffany made fun of me for getting a cookie at lunch or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, I got one case, and I remember we went through all this training, and the first case I had, it was between two girls. And the first girl comes in, she sits down, like, okay. Then the second one comes in, and she's wearing Cookie Monster pajamas. She wore Cookie Monster pajamas to school. And right away, I disregarded all my training, and I immediately took the side of the other girl. Because if you show up to school in pajamas and it's not pajama day, even if it is pajama day, if you show up to school in pajamas, you're already fighting a losing battle, So I disregarded all my training, took the side of the other girl. I forget what the case was. I forget how we resolved it. We probably didn't even resolve it, honestly. But that was my one and only case. They probably saw how I mediated it, and they were like, man, this guy didn't listen to us. We can't have him mediating any more cases. So that was my one and only case. But I also remember in elementary school, every single recess, we would play football. And I recently went back to my high school, or my elementary school, and I took a video of the field that we played on, the football field, and I sent it to one of my friends that he used to be our all-time quarterback. And we would have the same teams every single day. And this guy, he would be our quarterback every single game because he might not have had the best arm, but he was strategic. Even at that young of an age, he was strategic. And he's coaching a high school now. He's coaching high school football. So that just shows that at my age, and he's a head coach at a high school football. So that just shows how much football knowledge he had. I remember we used to play Madden, and he would do some crazy stuff at a young age. He would be calling audibles. He would be hot routing receivers. He'd be everything. He'd be reading defenses. I'm like, bro, this is fuck. You're playing against me, who just randomizes his plays. So he would usually end up winning. But anyway, so I took a video of our field, like a panorama, and I sent it to him. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. I haven't talked to him in a while. We used to be best friends in elementary school, but I just randomly sent it to him. And that's just something I like to do once in a while. Just randomly text people out of the blue. I don't really get those texts myself. Like, people don't text me out of the blue. So I could either look at it like, oh, they don't want to talk to me, or I could be like, I want to talk to them. So I'm going to start the conversation. So I've been doing that. So I sent him the text. He thought it was super cool. And we just started talking about different things that happened in elementary. But yeah, we used to play football every day. And I'm not kidding. Once a week, we got the football taken away because we got into too many fights. And when we got the football taken away, we would trick the recess supervisors into letting us play this thing called flinger ball, which is football without running. And we just said, oh, if we can't play football, can we play flinger ball? And they didn't really know what it was, so they're like, yeah, but it's basically the same thing. So we kind of finagled the recess supervisors. But yeah, we would get into fights all the time. I remember the thing to do. I'm going to put a video of, I probably already put the video up now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to put the video that I took of our football field so you can kind of get a sense of where we were playing at. But I remember the thing to do is, if you got mad at someone, I never did this, but I know a lot of people did. If you got mad at someone, you take off their shoe and throw it into the forest. And the forests were off limits. If you got caught going into the forest, you were in some shit. You would get into a lot of trouble. So we would do that. We would take off people's shoes, or not we, because I never did it. They would take off people's shoes and throw them into the forest. And I remember you'd have to sneak into the forest to go look for your shoe. And I remember one day, Trenton, he was a nice kid, but sometimes he just got on people's nerves. So they threw Trenton's shoe into the forest, and he couldn't find it, and he had to come back from recess, go into the classroom, and try and explain that he didn't have his right shoe. The teacher's like, "How did you lose your shoe?" But he never told on the person. So shout out Trenton for holding it down. But yeah, we would do that. I remember recess. There was this one girl. Her name was Keisha. This girl, she was like, I never watched Rugrats, but I believe there's a character in Rugrats with the cheetah pants shorts. Keisha looked like that one character on Rugrats, the fucking half ape man. And I remember we were cool. And I remember one day I was hanging on. This was before I got into football, so I would play on the playground, and I was hanging on, I forget what it was. It was like a tube. I was hanging on the tube. There were little slots that you could see into the tube, and I was hanging on that, and Keisha was on the inside of the tube, and she licked my hand. And for some reason, that stuck out enough, and that was weird enough that I still remember Keisha. So shout out Keisha. But yeah, going back to Avatar, the two sides, they do not get along. And Aang's trying to get them to come together. And I could see, like I said last episode, that's why I like this show, because I could see both sides. But I just sympathize with the rugged side a little bit more. But they both snuck food in to the canyon, even though the main man said not to. They both did it. And both of their reasons why they snuck food in, get this, both of their reasons why they snuck food in is because they thought the other side was going to do it. And that's just a paradox, If you do something because you think the other person's going to do it, and they're doing it because they think you're going to do it, That's just that's wild. That's crazy. So yeah, Aang ends up resolving the conflict by lying. He tells a white lie. He tells a Caucasian fib. He makes up a little lie to get them to start liking each other, and it works. So that he's smart for that, and I'm all right with white lies for once in a while. If you kind of stretch the truth a little bit to make someone feel better, I say do it if you can. So yeah, that was a good episode. And then we got episode 12, and that was a good episode too, because you learned a lot of backstory about these main characters, and it was kind of jumping back and forth from present to past, and you were just jumping around different characters' timelines. So you found out about Zoku's past and how he got that little fire mark. It was because his dad felt disrespected because Zoku spoke up in the meeting, and he fucking blasted him with fire for disrespecting him, which I'm not saying he's right for that, but I could see why he did it. There's better ways to handle that, but that's the way he chose. And I remember when I was a kid, when I would get mad at my parents, this is what I would do. I would go in the bathroom and turn on the faucets and just let them run. Because I was thinking, oh, you're going to make me mad? Well, I'm going to make you even more poor. You're going to have to pay for this water that's just going down the drain. And I feel bad for that now, but I'm just trying to imagine like what we could buy with that money now. Oh well, it's down the drain, literally. The money's down the drain. And then we learn about Aang's past, and you saw the monks. They all look like Aang, and all the Airbenders look like Aang, and they kind of did Aang dirty, and they're the reason why. Sorry, my dog's barking. If you can hear that, so it kind of fucked up my train of thought. Damn it. Listen. All right, so they all look like Aang, and they kind of did Aang dirty. They shipped him away. They were gonna ship him away, so he ran away. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to act like I was gonna run away too when I got mad, and I would just go hide in the neighbor's bush for like literally probably out, or it felt like I was a kid. It was probably like 20 minutes. My parents probably didn't even know I was missing, but I was like, man, I'm out of this house, and I'll go hide in the neighbor's bush. I remember one time. This is stupid. I got in trouble for plagiarizing in elementary school. Every day we had to get our planner signed. We would have to write our homework in a planner, and every night we had to go home and get that signed so our parents knew what homework we had. And you bring it in the next day and show your teacher you got it signed. And if you got it signed, you got some fake money that you could buy some bullshit prizes later on. And so I forgot to get it signed one night, and I was scared, so I signed it myself. I'm pretty sure I signed it Mom or some shit. Like, I signed it Mom. Instead of Susie, I signed it Mom. So they caught me pretty freaking easily. And what my punishment was from my parents was I had to write a 2-page essay, handwritten, on why it's bad to plagiarize. So I did that, but the stupid thing is we had a cupboard full of pots and pans, and I was so mad that they made me do that. I didn't want to see any of them, so I took all the pots and pans out of that cupboard. It was small cupboard, right? And I went into the cupboard and wrote my 2-page paper in the cupboard. And I had a light, and I had Cheez-Its and a pencil and pen, and I wrote the thing in the cupboard. I think my thought process was they're gonna think I'm missing or some shit. I don't know. And the pots and pans. I put them under the couches so they couldn't find them. So they couldn't find me or the pots and pans. I just remember that. Fucking, I was weird as a kid. And so yeah, Aang runs away, and he ends up. That's the reason why he ends up falling into the water and then freezing himself. So 100 years later, Katana and Sokka could find him. And Aang feels bad because he's like, man, if I didn't run away, I could have saved all these people, and I could have saved this war. But what he doesn't, he saves this one guy's life in the episode, and the one guy is like, yeah, but if you didn't freeze yourself, you wouldn't have been around to save me. So thank you. And that got me thinking, like, the butterfly effect is real. One small event could lead to a big event later. And that's why you never know if you're doing the right thing or not. Because you could do something that you think is right at the moment, and it could lead to something bad later on. Or you could do something bad at the moment, and it could lead to something really good later on. So that's just the reason why you shouldn't judge yourself in the moment. You should judge yourself in the macro, but you shouldn't judge yourself in the micro, really. That's just something I've learned. And I actually got a crazy story about the butterfly effect on both sides of my family, my mom's side and my dad's side. So I'm going to start with my mom's side first. So my great-great-great-grandparents, I forget how many greats, but it was multiple greats, parents, they were supposed to get on the Titanic, and they ended up missing it. And I don't know why they were late. That's the crazy thing. It could have been anything. It could have been any reason why they were late. They couldn't find their shoes. It could have been they probably didn't have stoplights, so it's not that there was like traffic or anything. They could have anything. I'm trying to think of something crazy that might have happened, but I'm kind of blanking. They could have any reason why they were late, and if they showed up to the Titanic, they would have been dead. Then my great-great-grandparents would have been dead. Then my so on, and then I wouldn't have been born, basically. So that one little thing right there is the reason why I'm born. And then on my dad's side, same thing. Something crazy happened, and if that thing didn't happen, I wouldn't have been here. So my grandma was riding with. She wasn't with my grandpa at the time. She was riding with her boyfriend at the time. And he was suicidal. And he purposely crashed into a tree trying to kill them both. Luckily, my grandma lived. And then she met my grandpa. And then they had my dad. And then my dad had me. So if my grandma would have died in that car accident, like it was planned, my grandma didn't want to drive. After that, she was so scared of cars, she wouldn't drive herself. So, if that would have happened, then I wouldn't have been here. So, obviously, someone wants me here. I don't know why. That's what I'm trying to figure out. But somebody wants me here. So, yeah, that just goes to show you never know how things are going to turn out. So, if you're down right now, you just got to trust that something great's going to come because of it. That's for real. That's real. So that was episode 11 and 12. And I like it. I say this every single podcast, but it just keeps getting better. The show just keeps getting better. And we'll see how the writers decided to progress the story, I guess. Man, that was a bad insight. Obviously, we're gonna see how the writers progress the story, but it's fun. I'm having a good time. I wouldn't be doing these podcasts if I didn't have a good time. So you can believe I'm having a good time. So I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, I'm trying out a new catchphrase. So until next time.